The following is a study guide for the Activity Coordinator Fall Prevention Certification exam, and while not every question is specifically stated in this guide, all the information covered in this exam is discussed and explained. In other words, you must have a good understanding of the information presented because I will not simply teach the test. So, if you're ready, let's get started. Heart rate increases when we raise our arms over our heads. Like a fireman trying to spray water to the top floor of a building, more pressure is needed the higher we try to move the blood to reach tired muscles. As we do overhead movements, the heart works harder to deliver nutrients and oxygen throughout the body to make a return trip back to the lungs and heart to be replenished. Increasing heart rate is a good thing unless the resident is a heart patient. You should always know the people that you're training, know their medical histories, and always have a doctor's approval for any workout you're planning to administer to that resident. Never take chances. It isn't necessary. It's been shown that exercise can reverse some of the effects of aging. As we age, bones thin, muscles atrophy, fatty tissue increases as the metabolism slows. As these conditions develop, disease often moves in, and movement is much more difficult. Movement is the key to a better life quality. A good trainer will focus on movements that increase range of motion, as well as strengthen and tone lean muscle mass. Very little is needed to increase heart rate. Typically, range of motion stretching, light weight training, isometric movements, and exercises like seated marching are enough to increase heart rate to a beneficial level for seniors. Keeping it real means to keep in mind that we do not house competitive bodybuilders, weightlifters, nor do we train Olympic athletes. We provide activity and exercise to add to the resident's quality of life and enjoyment. Never work to the point of a grimace or strain with a senior citizen in an assisted living environment. Isometric exercises place tension with no increase in length or stretch on a group of muscles. Placing the palms together and then pressing each hand into the other is an example of isometric exercise. Force is exerted, but muscle length doesn't change. Only hold the pressure portion of the activity for a count of 5. This activity is often sufficient to raise the heart rate in seniors to a low aerobic level. Don't program isometric segments greater than a couple of minutes without going to another movement like stretching or seated dance, so as to move old tired blood back to the heart to be replenished. Always make time to do a cool-down segment at the end of each exercise program. Cool-down periods should focus on activities like light marching or light stretching toward the heart, so as to move old tired blood back to the heart for recirculation. Otherwise, it may pool in the extremities and cause discomfort to the resident. Simple and slow dance done while seated are typically a good cool down and provides an emotional lift as well. Watch for fatigue by periodically scanning your participants. If you observe someone losing coordination, stumbling, red-faced, or flushed, instruct them to take a few minutes to rest and call for a supervisor for immediate medical assistance. If someone falls or is injured, instruct them to sit or lay still and call for a supervisor for immediate medical help. Treatment of injuries is not for the trainer. Senior citizen skin is much more sensitive than the skin of younger people. Often just a light squeeze is enough to cause bruising, and special care should be taken when applying compression and ice, and should only be done by a medical professional. Injuries cause physical and emotional stress to the resident. This can cause stress to the heart as well. Reassuring the resident in a calm and soothing voice will help minimize a very stressful time. Never leave an injured resident. Send someone else for help and stay with the injured person. Always be aware of the resident's breathing. Breathing, or lack of, is always the first sign of strain. The Valsalva maneuver, holding the breath during exercise, can increase blood pressure to dangerous levels. Breathing should be a directed component such that the trainer reminds the residents to breathe out and breathe in throughout the exercise. The trainer should instruct the client to breathe out during the period of exertion and breathe in during the resting phase just prior to another exertion. Blood pressure readings consist of 3 numbers: the systolic, diastolic, and heart rate. Systolic pressure is the force the heart is pumping blood when it contracts. Diastolic pressure is a measurement of the force remaining between the contractions, and the heart rate is the number of contractions per minute. Normal blood pressure is typically 120/80, but it ranges widely between all seniors, and most seniors' blood pressure is controlled by medication. So it's very important to have a doctor's permission on file before physically training a senior citizen.